Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button because today we're talking about something that affects millions of people, but nobody really wants to admit. Living paycheck to paycheck on a low income. Look, I get it. When you're making barely enough to cover your bills, the idea of budgeting can feel pointless. You might be thinking, what's the point of budgeting when there's no money left over anyway? But here's the truth. Budgeting on a low income isn't about restricting yourself even more. It's about taking control of every single dollar so you can finally stop feeling like you're drowning financially. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a complete system for budgeting on a low income. We're talking practical, realistic strategies that actually work when money's tight. No fluff, no unrealistic advice like, just cut out your daily coffee. We're going to get real about how to manage money when you're working with very little. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to set up a budget that works for your situation, how to find money you didn't even know you had, and most importantly, how to start building a cushion so you can finally break free from that paycheck to paycheck cycle. So let's dive in. Step 1, the reality check. First, let's address the elephant in the room. Budgeting on a low income is hard. It just is. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that budgeting alone is going to solve everything if you're genuinely not making enough money to cover basic necessities. But here's what I will say. Even when money is incredibly tight, knowing exactly where every dollar is going gives you power. It helps you make intentional decisions instead of just hoping there's money left at the end of the month. And that awareness, that's the first step to changing your financial situation. The biggest mistake people make when they're on a low income is avoiding looking at their finances altogether. They don't want to face the reality of how little they have. But ignoring your money doesn't make the problems go away. It actually makes them worse because you're flying blind. So before we go any further, I need you to make a commitment. Commit to getting real with your finances. No more avoiding bank statements. No more pretending everything is fine. We're going to face this head on, and I promise you, it's not as scary as you think once you actually do it. Step 2. Calculate your real income. All right, step 1, we need to figure out exactly how much money you're actually working with. And I don't mean your gross income or what your salary is supposed to be. I mean the actual amount that hits your bank account. Grab a piece of paper, open a notes app, or use a simple spreadsheet. Write down your take-home pay after taxes, insurance, and any other deductions. If you get paid weekly, multiply that by 4.33 to get your monthly amount. If you're paid bi-weekly, multiply by 2.17. Now, this is super important. If your income varies from week to week or month to month, you need to base your budget on your lowest typical month. Yes, your lowest. I know that sounds scary, but this is crucial. You want to budget for the worst-case scenario so that when you have a better month, that extra money becomes a bonus you can put towards savings or debt, not money you've already spent in your head. Also, write down any other income you receive. This could be child support, side gig money, government assistance, anything that comes in regularly. Be honest and thorough here. Every dollar counts when you're on a tight budget. Once you have your total monthly take-home income written down, you now know exactly what you're working with. This number is your foundation. Everything else we do builds from here. Step 3, list every expense. Now comes the part that most people dread, but I promise you this is where the magic happens. We're going to list every single expense you have, and I mean everything. Start with what I call the 4 walls. These are your absolute necessities: housing, utilities, food, and transportation. These are non-negotiable because you need a roof over your head, lights on, food to eat, and a way to get to work. Under housing, write down your rent or mortgage payment. Under utilities, include electric, gas, water, and trash. Be specific. If you pay for internet and you genuinely need it for work or school, include it here. For food, estimate your grocery spending, not eating out. And for transportation, include your car payment, insurance, gas and maintenance, or your public transportation costs. Next, list all your other monthly bills: phone bill, streaming services, subscriptions, insurance payments, minimum debt payments, child care, anything that comes out regularly. Go through your bank statements from the last 2 to 3 months and highlight every recurring charge. You'd be amazed at what you find when you actually look. Here's a hard truth. This is where most people discover they're spending way more than they realize on things they don't even use. That gym membership you haven't used in 6 months? The subscription boxes you forgot about? The upgraded phone plan with features you never use? Write it all down. We're going to deal with it in a minute. Finally, include variable expenses. This is stuff like medical costs, clothing, household items, personal care, and yes, a small amount for entertainment. Even on a low income, you need to budget something for life to be livable. It might only be $20 or $30 a month, but it needs to be there. Add up all these expenses. Now, compare that number to your income. If your expenses are higher than your income, don't panic. We're going to fix that. If they're about equal, we still have work to do because you need breathing room. And if somehow you have money left over, we're going to make sure that money has a specific job. Step 4. The brutal cuts. Okay, this is the tough love part. If your expenses exceed your income, or if they're so close that there's no room for emergencies, we need to make some cuts. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This part is hard. Go back to that expense list and circle everything that isn't one of the 4 walls or a minimum debt payment. Look at every subscription, every convenience, every nice to have. The question you need to ask for each one is, can I survive without this right now? Notice I said right now. This isn't forever. But when you're in survival mode financially, you have to prioritize survival. That might mean canceling Netflix, Spotify, and Hulu, even though they're your only entertainment. It might mean switching to a cheaper phone plan or downgrading your internet speed. It might mean shopping at a cheaper grocery store or buying generic brands. Here are some specific cuts that can save you serious money. Cancel any subscriptions you're not actively using multiple times per week. Drop premium versions and use free alternatives. Call your insurance companies and ask about discounts or shop around for better rates. If you have a car payment that's strangling your budget, consider whether you could sell that car and buy a cheaper one with cash or a much smaller payment. Cut your food budget by meal planning, using a grocery list, and never shopping hungry. Buy store brands. Use coupons and cashback apps. Shop sales and stock up on non-perishables when prices are good. Cook in bulk and freeze portions. Look, I know this isn't fun. I know it feels like you're taking away the few things that bring you joy. But here's the reality. Staying in the paycheck to paycheck cycle is way more stressful than temporarily cutting back on comforts. Once you build up some financial breathing room, you can add things back. But right now, we're in triage mode. Step 5. Create your zero-based budget. Now that you know your real income and your necessary expenses, it's time to create what's called a zero-based budget. This means every single dollar of your income gets assigned a job before the month begins. Income minus expenses equals 0. The reason this is so powerful on a low income is because you can't afford to let money just disappear into random spending. Every dollar needs a purpose. Here's how to set it up. Take your monthly income and start allocating it to your expenses in order of priority. First, the 4 walls. Then minimum debt payments because you need to protect your credit and avoid collections. Then other essentials like phone, child care, and medical expenses. Then, and this is crucial, allocate something, even if it's just $10 or $20, to an emergency fund. Yes, even on a low income, you need to pay yourself first. Even tiny amounts add up over time, and having any emergency fund, even $50, can prevent you from going into debt when something unexpected happens. After that, allocate money to your variable categories like household items, personal care, and clothing. Be realistic but frugal. Finally, give yourself a small amount for discretionary spending. This might be as little as $20 a month, but it's important because a budget with zero flexibility is a budget you won't stick to. The key with zero-based budgeting is that once you've allocated all your money, you're done spending for the month. If the grocery category has $200, that's all you get. When it's gone, it's gone. This forces you to be intentional with every purchase. Use the envelope system if you need to. Withdraw cash for variable categories like groceries and gas and put them in labeled envelopes. When the envelope is empty, you stop spending in that category. It sounds old-fashioned, but it works because cash is tangible. It's way harder to overspend when you can physically see your money disappearing. Step 6. Find hidden money. Now let's talk about finding money you didn't know you had. When you're on a low income, every extra dollar matters, So we're going to get creative. First, look for benefits you might be eligible for, but not receiving. Depending on your income and situation, you might qualify for SNAP benefits for food assistance, utility assistance programs, earned income tax credits, Medicaid, childcare assistance, or housing subsidies. There's no shame in using these programs. That's literally what they're designed for. Go to benefits.gov and see what you might qualify for. Second, reduce expenses through assistance programs. Many utility companies offer reduced rates for low-income households. Phone companies have affordable programs. Some areas have free or low-cost internet programs. Look into community resources like food banks, free community meals, clothing closets, and toy libraries. Third, consider ways to bring in extra money. And before you roll your eyes, I'm not talking about starting a business or getting some massive side hustle. I'm talking about small, manageable things. Sell items you no longer need on Facebook Marketplace or at a garage sale. Pick up a few hours of freelance work on Fiverr or TaskRabbit. Do occasional babysitting or pet sitting. Participate in paid research studies or focus groups in your area. One strategy that works really well is the found money rule. Any money that you receive that's not part of your regular income, tax refunds, gifts, rebates, overtime pay, side gig money, immediately goes to your financial goals. Don't let lifestyle inflation eat it up. That found money accelerates your progress faster than anything else. Step 7. Build your safety net. Here's the hard truth. You will never stop living paycheck to paycheck until you have some money saved. Even a tiny emergency fund changes everything because it breaks the cycle of going into debt every time something unexpected happens. I know what you're thinking. How can I possibly save when I can barely pay my bills? But here's the thing. You find a way to save the same way you find a way to pay your rent. You treat it like a non-negotiable bill. Start absurdly small if you have to. $5 a week, $10 a paycheck. Whatever you can do. Open a separate savings account that's not connected to your debit card so you're not tempted to dip into it. Set up an automatic transfer for the day after payday, even if it's just a few dollars. Your first goal is $50. That's it. Just $50 sitting in savings. Once you hit that, celebrate it because that $50 is $50 more than most Americans have saved. Then build to 100, then 250, then 500, then 1,000. That first $1,000 is life-changing. It means when your car needs a repair, you don't have to put it on a credit card. When you need new work shoes, you're not stressing about how to pay for them. When your kid gets sick and you miss a day of work, you have a buffer. Use windfalls strategically. Tax refunds, stimulus payments, birthday money, split them. Put half toward your emergency fund and use half for something you need or to pay down debt. This keeps you motivated because you're not putting 100% toward boring financial goals, but you're still making progress. Step 8. Avoid the debt trap. Let's talk about debt because when you're on a low income, debt is often what keeps you trapped in the paycheck to paycheck cycle. If you have high-interest debt like credit cards or payday loans, it's literally draining money from your budget every single month. Here's your strategy. Pay minimums on everything except the smallest debt. Attack that smallest one with any extra money you can find. When it's paid off, take that payment and add it to the next smallest debt. This is called the debt snowball method, and it works because you get quick wins that keep you motivated. Whatever you do, avoid taking on new debt. No more credit card spending unless it's a genuine emergency and you have no other option. No payday loans. The interest rates are predatory, and they trap you in a cycle that's almost impossible to escape. No buy now, pay later schemes that let you pretend you can afford things you can't. If you're already in collections or behind on bills, don't ignore it. Call your creditors and explain your situation. Many will work with you on payment plans or reduced settlements if you're honest about your financial situation. The worst thing you can do is avoid them because then they have no choice but to pursue more aggressive collection methods. Step 9. Stay motivated and adjust. Here's the reality. Budgeting on a low income is not a one-and-done thing. It's an ongoing process that requires constant attention and adjustment. Track your spending every single day. Use a free app like EveryDollar, Mint, or even just a notebook. Write down every single purchase. This keeps you accountable and helps you spot problems before they derail your entire budget. Do a budget check-in every week. Sit down for 15 minutes and see where you are in each category. Are you on track? Did something unexpected come up? Do you need to move money around? Weekly check-ins prevent end-of-month disasters. Be flexible. Your budget is a living document. If you consistently overspend in one category and underspend in another, adjust the amounts. If your income changes, redo your budget immediately. If you get a raise or find a better paying job, don't increase your spending. Increase your savings instead. Celebrate small wins. Paid off a small debt? Celebrate. Hit your first $50 saved? Celebrate. Made it through a whole month sticking to your budget? Definitely celebrate. These wins matter because staying motivated on a low income is tough, and you need to acknowledge your progress. Find free or cheap ways to treat yourself that don't derail your budget. Have a movie night at home, go to free community events, use your library card, take advantage of free museum days. You can still have a life and enjoy things without spending money you don't have. Step 10. Long-term thinking. Finally, let's talk about the bigger picture. Budgeting on a low income is about surviving today, but it's also about building toward a better tomorrow. As you get your budget under control and build up that emergency fund, start thinking about ways to increase your income. This might mean asking for a raise, looking for a better paying job, getting additional training or certifications, or starting a side income stream. You can't cut your way to wealth, so at some point, you need to focus on the income side of the equation. But here's what I want you to remember. You are doing something that most people never do. You're taking control. You're being intentional. You're refusing to just accept living paycheck to paycheck as your permanent reality. That takes courage and discipline, and you should be proud of yourself for even watching this video and taking this first step. Budgeting on a low income is hard. It requires sacrifice and discipline and constantly making tough choices. But the alternative, staying in that paycheck to paycheck cycle, constantly stressed about money, one emergency away from disaster, is so much harder. You're choosing the hard that leads somewhere better. All right, that's everything you need to know to create a budget that actually works on a low income. To recap, calculate your real income, list every expense, make the necessary cuts, create a zero-based budget, find hidden money, build your emergency fund, avoid new debt, and stay consistent with tracking and adjusting. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more practical personal finance tips. Drop a comment below and let me know your biggest budgeting challenge. I read every comment and I'd love to hear from you. Remember, your current financial situation is not your permanent destination. You've got this. I'll see you in the next video.